Hello and welcome. I'm Bimbo Luyede. Tonight, tension thickens in Yobe and Kano as rampaging suicide bombers kill 27 people. House of Representatives applauds the military for renewing offensive against Boko Haram. NBC cautions media houses against false broadcasts during the 2015 elections. And a gunman opens fire in the Czech Republic, killing 8 people before shooting himself dead.
And on business news tonight, finance experts express worry over rising exchange rate and its effects on inflation figures.
All on sports news, World Football's governing body, FIFA's task force, recommends that the 2022 World Cup be played from late November to late December, sparking outrage from European football clubs.
Palpable fear has enveloped Potiskum town in Yobe, as well as residents of Zaria Road in Kano, where 27 people were killed today in separate bomb attacks. While 15 people died in a suicide attack by a male bomber in Potiskum, 2 more male bombers killed 12 passengers at the Kano Line motor park. Our correspondent, Sheun Okimbaloye, reports.
There's been a lot of mayhem. A dark Tuesday, if you may. 2 deadly attacks in Nigeria's northern region. The first in Potiskum, a traditional town of Yobe State, one of Nigeria's northeastern states most hit by the Boko Haram insurgency. A suicide bomber who alighted from a tricycle ran into a crowd of passengers at the Tashindan Borno Park before detonating the device. At least 15 people killed. The aggression is the second in less than 3 days, taking a similar pattern. The hospital here is somewhat overwhelmed. Some 5 hours drive away at the popular Kano Line motor park, tragedy struck again. Same day, similar pattern, different cities. The suicide bomber was said to have detonated at the point when people were boarding vehicles from here to different destinations. 3 vehicles torn apart by the blast and the impact strongly felt. A close look at the wreckage shows that some people's daily living wasted and the innocent left for dead. The area already cordoned off as security operatives on ground try to make a sense of the situation from the wreckage left by the explosion. Some residents still in awe and finding it difficult to wrap their heads around the effect of the deadly assault on the area. Police say investigations have commenced. The Kano Commissioner of Police tells journalists more about the ordeal.
So far, we've conducted just some preliminary investigation on the site, while detailed investigation will continue. What we have found out so far at the moment is that, as you can see, it involves 3 vehicles: a Sharon bus, a second bus, and a car, a golf car. We estimated that about 12 people have died in this blast. And from the information we gathered at the scene, it seems that the bombers, 2 of them, these 12 include the 2 bombers. It seems that the 2 bombers came in that Sharon car as passengers from outside the city. So they came in, they are driven as passengers. In the process of moving out of the vehicle, after arriving at the motor park, that's the time they detonated the bomb. As I indicated, investigation is ongoing, and obviously you are going to be available of further development.
There are more concerns about the victims and their bodies. The Commissioner of Police gives an insight.
If you are aware of how a bomb worked, some of them got burnt here, some of them were flung to that position you see. So it doesn't mean that the people set them on fire. These are people that are burned. You've seen the bomb beyond the repairs. So it's not burned. It's not set on fire by the mob.
How many people?
These are just carcasses. Is it what do you call it? Human carcasses.
A sad day for the people of this area. The ruins left by the explosion may leave a scar too difficult to bear for a while. Shenwa Kimbale, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the president has condemned the new mode of attacks adopted by Boko Haram, describing it as callous. President Goodluck Jonathan commiserated with all the families who have lost loved ones in the suicide bombings, which continued today with attacks on Kano and Potiskum. The president says he shares the grief of all the bereaved families and is deeply saddened by the continued loss of many innocent lives at the hands of misguided and desperate fanatics, who are now feeling the heat of the intense counter-insurgency operation by the Nigerian armed forces. President Jonathan further assures Nigerians that the gallant, courageous and patriotic officers and men of the Nigerian armed forces, supported with new platforms, equipment and logistics provided by the federal government, will carry the ongoing operations against the terrorists through to a successful conclusion in the shortest possible time. Well, suicide bombings may still be a threat in the north, but that will not stop the House of Representatives from applauding what it describes as the gallant performance of the Nigerian armed forces in reclaiming some parts of the northeast region. Coming as a motion of urgent national importance moved by Honorable Mohammed Monguno, the House also commended the military for its bravery and steadfastness. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports that lawmakers who spoke on the matter encouraged the troops to sustain the offensive and help ensure that other areas under the control of the insurgents are also reclaimed.
Since before, when communities fall as a result of insurgent activities, we complain and pass a resolution in this House, urging them to liberate these communities. What is good for the gender is good for the goose. Since now they have succeeded in liberating this community, it behoves on this august chamber to equally comment and acknowledge the gallantry of the Nigerian armed forces in liberating these communities. It will go a long way in boosting their morale, and it will also make them to work harder in liberating other communities that are not yet liberated.
Beyond commending the military, we also have to commend even the commanders, even the commander-in-chief, because they also made all this impossible. We cannot run away from the truth, because if the military were not supported by the commander-in-chief, it would have been pretty difficult for them to operate.
We also want to commend the other nations where we want to bring in the Chad, the Cameroons and other countries that have come together in fighting this battle. Let me also seize this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate our armed forces. Let this be a major morale boosting, because they are doing very, very well. And in appreciating them, I will be failing in my responsibility if I don't appreciate the CNC, which is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who have also thought it fit and have actually promised this great nation that in 6 weeks he is going to make sure that insurgency will be something of the past.
Now, Mr. Joseph Mbu is not just the Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 2, but one officer most people believe is controversial. Well, the House of Representatives seems to have scores to settle with him as the lawmakers drag him to answer some questions concerning observance of the rule of law. Our correspondent, Lanre Lasisi, reports.
Lawmakers resuming for the first plenary session of the week. One of the first motions on the other paper was on the alleged violation of the 1999 Constitution.
The House notes with regret the recent statement by AIG Joseph Mbu, which was widely reported in national dailies and which amounted to violation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. Concern about the statement allegedly made by AIG Mbu that if one police officer is killed during the March 2015 election, between 20 to 100 citizens will be killed in return.
The motion urged the House to condemn the utterances and actions of the police officer and requested the Inspector General of Police to relieve AIG Mbu of any role in the coming 2015 general elections. But a point of order was raised immediately.
On Section 36 of fair hearing, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, Mr. Speaker, I may read
subsection 1 of the Constitution. Am I permitted, Mr. Speaker? In the determination of his civil rights and obligations, including any question or determination by or against any government or authority, a person shall be entitled to a fair hearing within a reasonable time.
The lawmaker was not allowed to complete his motion as other members shouted their opinions across the chamber.
Protect me, Mr. Speaker. Protect me, Mr. Speaker. It's my right. It's my right to protect me. I'll sit down, but protect me to finish. I cannot be shouted down, Mr. Speaker.
Eventually, the Deputy Speaker of the House, who was presiding, took charge of the proceedings.
I started by saying that this matter is a matter we should not prejudice an action because it's a matter that we should not be judgmental on the issue. Now, the position of the chair is that I will ask that the prayers be dropped so that we can refer it to appropriate committee of the House to look into the matter so that they can properly report back to the House before we take an action.
The motion was amended and the question put to the House.
Those in favor of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. Well, the motion is referred to the Committee on Police Affairs for further investigation. As have it.
The House Committee on Police Affairs will now be expected to present its report to the House, which will guide the decision of the House on this matter. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Another area of controversy is on whether or not the military should be deployed to supervise the 2015 elections. And the view of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is clear. It wants the deployment of troops to election posts. The Director General of the Institute, Professor Oshita, gave the Institute support at a meeting with civil society groups and security personnel. According to him, it will be impossible to conduct peaceful elections, especially in the Northeast, without the support of the military.
This meeting with civil society organizations and security personnel is aimed at identifying possible challenges during next month's general elections. Some of the discussants believe that the elections could be marred by violence if excesses of youths, both on the social media, are not managed properly by government and political parties.
Hate speeches come in adverts and so on the broadcast media, but they then get, they go viral by the time they get to the social media, and that ordinarily people who would not have watched it or listened to it then get to know about this.
If these youths are managed very well, I am so sure that the violence we are so much afraid of in this country will be curtailed.
Another discussant from the Northeast also raised concern about the way politicians are currently engaging the civilian JTF and what will become of them after the elections and Boko Haram crisis are contained.
After Boko Haram, I wonder where we're going to end up because they pose another threat. Right now, yes, most of the politicians are using them from all the parties, for them to pose as protectors of the states, protectors of their campaigns, protectors of... So, you see, these children are now developing the air of not being afraid of the people in uniform.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution has supported the deployment of military personnel during the elections.
We are not in normal times, you understand? So I believe that in our environment now, the military has a role to play. But that role, as defined in the Electoral Act, is within a certain, definite distance away from the electoral environment. So I am not in support of people saying that the military should not be deployed for elections.
Concerns and agitations over the peaceful conduct of the general elections had died down with the postponement of the elections date. But conveners say activities of politicians and their supporters within the last week of the postponement further call for concern.
In part 2, after the break, more complaints on the collection of the PVCs. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.